Hi everybody. So I want to do a review for the new Nancy Drew TV show. I've seen the first episode, which I believe is called Pilot, and it was okay, I guess. It's sort of a scary show, and I'm generally not a big fan of scary shows, but I think it was pretty good. I kind of want to go through all the various characters. So what about Nancy Drew? So I like the new Nancy. The actress is, she's a good actress, and she looks great, and she does good acting. I like her snarky voiceovers. That was my favorite part of the actual show, because they were funny. But most of the time, Nancy's just kind of sad and depressed and not really talking much, which is sort of a downer. It doesn't really give us a chance to see what she's like normally. Because the premise is that Nancy's mom just died. So Nancy's mom died, I guess 4 or 5 months ago, it seems. So when that happened, Nancy's life just completely destroyed. You know, she was the homecoming queen, and then she forgot to apply for college, and now she's sort of forced to live with her dad for a year, and she really hates her dad now. I didn't like that dynamic of her disliking her dad. I really like how she normally is good friends with her dad. And the guy playing her dad, Scott Wolf, oh my gosh, he's kind of amazing. I actually really liked his acting. But he's handsome. So all the men in the show are dead handsome. They're even handsomer than I am. You know, even the ones that are like 20, 30 years older than me, especially the ones that are 20, 30 years older than me. They are all super handsome and put me to shame. So I think there are only 3 other men. There's Chief Police McGinnis, who's just generic angry guy, and then there's Nancy's boyfriend Ned, who is called Nick. Instead of Ned Nickerson, they call him Nick. They just call him Nick. That's his nickname, as it were. Okay, so this show is rated PG-14 for sex, violence, drugs, and language. So I believe they hit all 4 of the things that you could get rated for. So, you know, this is not a show for little kids, and this is emphasized about 4 minutes in, where there's a sex scene with Nancy and Ned, and I didn't really like that at all. It felt like it was more done for shock value as opposed to plot value, and the idea is that, well, Nancy's, you know, grieving over her mother, and so to make herself feel better, she just starts having sex with this random guy she doesn't even know, and, like, yeah, and this is emphasized later on when Ned actually, you know, develops feelings for her, and he wants to know more about her, and he kind of comes to grips with the fact that she knows nothing about him and doesn't really care about him until sort of the end. So the storyline is that Nancy is working at she's working at a diner, and the manager is George. I believe her name was George Fan. So George, I really liked her, though. I thought she was better than Bess. I liked her more than Bess, but it's kind of strange that George is Nancy's enemy. She's playing the role that, you know, you would expect Deirdre Shannon or Brenda Carlton to have, but apparently she is Nancy's high school rival and really hates Nancy, and now she's Nancy's manager. And she just spends most of her time making mean, snarky comments at Nancy. I don't think they were as good as Nancy's snarky comments. George had a, what do you call it, really fast delivery, which made the snarky comments less humorous in my opinion, because I kind of had to think about it for a second to just, you know, absorb what she said. So I guess I'm saying George is smarter than I am. I don't know. As for Bess, I did not quite like that, the Bess. They kind of zeroed in on the fact that Bess is just sort of stupid and only cares about fashion, and so she's just kind of this generic ditz. So it's like, oh wow, clothes are wonderful, yay, yay, yay. I think she's supposed to be a rich girl too. I don't really like the way they changed Bess's character like that. I don't know, in the original Nancy Drew books, I believe her character is she's the one who gets scared all the time, so well, at the end of the episode, all of the suspects have something that make them possibly guilty, which is par for the course in mystery stories. So Bess is suspicious because she stole the wedding ring from the victim, because it was a very big, beautiful ring, and that's literally it. We see her playing on the ground like, oh wow, look at this cool ring I stole from the dead body. It was ridiculous. I did not like that. Whereas George, she apparently is having an affair with the victim's husband. So that would be George's motive. Let's see. Ned is an ex-con. It feels weird. I should stop calling him Ned. He's Nick now. So Nick apparently is an ex-con. He went to jail for murder, and that somehow made him related to the victim. I didn't quite catch how they were related, but I did catch, ooh, Ned's an ex-con. He's actually a murderer. That's bad news for Nancy, because she's getting in a relationship with this ex-con, this bad boy, who has a heart of gold, though. It seems like he really does care about Nancy. He does try to save her from being arrested by the police when she's breaking and entering, and that was actually really nice of him. I kind of liked their discussion afterwards. But then Nancy goes home and she sees her dad. I think I mentioned that Nancy and her dad don't like each other in this series, and that makes me kind of sad. I didn't really like how Nancy and Carson are fighting, and it's not really explained why. So she walks in on him with his new girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, how could you cheat on Mom like that?" Well, I've seen that drama 100 times, by the way. That's why I'm making light of it. But, you know, she runs away, and then they have the gratuitous, you know, longer sex scene with Ned, which, it didn't faze me. I've seen worse on my daytime soap operas. I was mostly unhappy that Nancy's just using sex as a, you know, emotional mechanism, just trying to, you know, escape from her life. And that's really emotionally unhealthy, and that's not good. So I believe, I didn't get to the mystery. The mystery, Nancy's at a diner where some rich people show up. The rich man's wife stays outside. Nancy delivers food to her, you know, gives her a plate of food, and then goes back inside. And then the wife just ends up dead. And there's some short video footage which makes it look like it's the ghost of Strange Lucy, apparently a woman who died in this area about 200 years ago. The ending makes it seem like we're going to go more into the story of what happened to Dead Lucy, because there's like, the Dead Lucy rhyme was written on the walls of Nancy's house, and Nancy finds a casket with a bloody dress inside, which makes it seem like her father is a murderer or something. I don't know where they're going to go with that. So, but yeah, I'm definitely expecting to see more drama with Nancy and her father in the future. I didn't mention Ace, who's the other suspect. He's the only one who doesn't have, what do you call it? They don't suspect him because he has an alibi. He was with the rich man. He was delivering food. Ace is a stoner who works in the kitchen. That's why it gets the D for drugs rating. Ace was, I thought he was funny. I thought he was interesting. He was incredibly hilarious. And he's the only character who's not from the Nancy Drew series. So he's at the top of my suspect list. I think that's everything I have to say about the episode. That's all I thought about episode 1. So, I'm not going to give it like a 7 out of 10 rating or something like that. I don't know what I would rate it. I think if I was watching this on Netflix, you know, I'd watch this episode and then I'd maybe go on to the next episode, depending on, you know, what I have to do. But it wasn't something that got me so, you know, immediately jumping into the mystery and really loving the mystery and wanting to figure out what happens next, basically. Some people really liked it and got really sucked into it, but I was not one of those people, basically, because, like I said, scary stories, scary ghost stories are not 100% my thing, and for most of it, Nancy's not friends with Bess and George. You know, they have to force Nancy to bring them along. And like I said, Nancy doesn't really want to solve the mystery. She's like, oh no, that's my past. I don't do that anymore. And so I hope that she'll get over that soon. I like the Nancy who's actually trying to solve mysteries. So overall, you know, I like the episode. I'm going to watch more of the episodes. But, you know, I'm glad it wasn't as bad as Riverdale. Because I couldn't watch the first episode of Riverdale. You know, I got partway through. I'm like, nope, this has nothing to do with the original Archie comics. It's just, they just took the names and placed them on the completely different characters. That's sort of what they're doing here with Nancy Drew, but sort of not. There seems to be more of an attempt to make the characters resemble their original Nancy Drew forms. I don't know. Ned is an ex-con.
That just doesn't even make sense. Like,
yeah, and they call
weird.
him Nick. It's like, you might as well just call him a different character, make him a different character altogether.
Well,
I don't
maybe
know.
he's not Ned. Maybe Ned's gonna show up in a later episode. Maybe he's a red herring.
That would be cool.
Yeah, they're gonna make you think he's Ned up until like the end of the first season. It's like, oh, here's real Ned. Her basketball captain prince in shining armor.
He's a football player.
You know what? He's lacrosse. We're gonna update. He's gonna be a lacrosse player.
Uh-oh. Okay. So, we're getting interrupted. So, bye, everybody.